delegation for tourism, which is the equivalent of the Egyptian Tourism Federation. They have the Turkish Travel Agents Association. We have had long-standing relationship between Egypt and Turkey. However, we had to sign a memorandum of understanding for two reasons. Number one, we want to increase traffic between the two countries, i.e. between Egypt, Turkey, and vice versa. On the other hand, Turkish airline has grown tremendously in the past few years and is started serving many points within Egypt, which is Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, besides Cairo and Alexandria, and is contemplating serving as well Luxor and Aswan.
The agreements were decided upon during the Turkish President Abdullah Gül's second visit to Egypt after the revolution, in a bid to grow trade and boost investments between both countries.
The Egyptian-Turkish partnership is rapidly growing. I'm happy to report to you that as of 31st of December 2012, our bilateral trade exceeded $5 billion. When I came to Egypt 3 years ago, our trade was only $2.9 billion. So we have done a good work. I want to send a message of thanks and appreciation to the people and the government of Egypt for all the cooperation that they have extended to us.
The signing was attended by a general manager of the Turkish Airlines who announced new destinations in Egypt from Turkey to be activated this year.
Our goal as a company is to connect the Egyptian market with the world market and vice versa. Egypt is a very, very big name in the tourism industry around the world. We feel that we are honored to become the bridge between Turkey and Egypt, and we consider these two countries to be brother countries and brother nations. We already have 4 destinations in Egypt, which are Alex, Cairo, Hurghada, which is very new, and we're here today, and Sharm el-Sheikh. And we are already opening Aswan and Luxor also. Now, we feel that we have a big weight on our shoulders to connect these wonderful two nations, and I'm very, very happy to have the chance to facilitate and the chance to have a small position in this great development between these two countries.
However, it is important to know that 2014 will be the year of Egypt and Turkey, and that 2015 will be the year of Turkey in Egypt. Ahmed Nader for Nile Cruise.
Years go by, and the Nile remains the god of bounty, the symbol of life and eternity, since the pharaonic ages up until now. The Nile played an important role in ancient Egypt. They depended on it in growing plants. They divided the agricultural year due to its flood times. They divided it to 3 seasons, Bert, Echt, and Shimo. They also built their temples and tombs like the Karnak Temple, the Luxor Temple, Philae Temple, and Abu Simbel Temple, so history mingled with the Nile, and both created an eternal legend.
Welcome back. Still watching Nile Cruise, and a water crisis is emerging in the Nile Basin with some 300 million people in Egypt. The Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania and Burundi rely on the Nile indirectly and directly along the 6,741 kilometer stretch.
Well, in 1999, the countries of the Nile Basin formed the Nile Basin Initiative. Since then, there has been a number of disputes between Egypt and Sudan on the one hand, and a challenge by the other countries on the validity of the Nile Water Agreement, which they claim is an unjust colonial relic and should not be applicable in post-independent Africa. And joining us today to tell us more about this is Dr. Hassan Shaban, Vice President of Al-Wafd Party and Minister of Rural Development in Wafd Parallel Government. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Hello, Doctor, and happy Easter to you. I guess my main question and the first question will be about Egypt's share of the Nile, the current share now, and maybe the future one as well.
Actually, we've been getting about 55 billion cubic meters annually. Most of them are saved in the lake behind the Aswan Dam. And we share the reserve behind the Aswan Dam in a lake that is shared between us and Sudan. Actually, so far, the new project that Ethiopia is starting did not affect us, of course. But in the future, while Ethiopia starts to preserve water to produce electricity behind their dam, it will affect us, and we will lose about 17 billion cubic meters every year till they reach the quantity of water they require behind their dam, which is about 90 billion cubic meters.
How bad is that for Egypt? When you say those numbers, people don't realize what they mean. So let's break it down.
It actually means that we're going to lose about 20% of our annual income from the River Nile.
Right.
Considering that the drop in the reserve behind the Aswan Dam will affect the production of electricity from the Aswan Dam. On the other hand, also farming and agriculture that uses this water will be definitely affected. We are probably the only country in the Nile Basin that uses the River Nile as a main source of irrigation for agriculture. Ethiopia itself, when they are constructing this dam, they're not going to use it really for irrigation because they have a huge amount of water due to it's a rainy country. They use rain to grow crops.
Yes.
So this dam will not be used mainly for agriculture. It will be
generating
used
electricity.
to produce electricity.
Yes. So are there any regulations, historic regulations between Egypt and of course the Nile Basin countries regarding the share of each country?
Actually, it's a big problem. And we contributed to the problem. We were not wise enough from the beginning to deal with our brothers in Africa. The whole thing, it did not start during the occupation, the British colonization era. It started in 1959 when President Nasser decided to sign an agreement with Sudan to split the use of the River Nile, the water. That was even before the construction of the Aswan Dam. We neglected, the government of Egypt and Sudan neglected the presence of Ethiopia. Though we get 85% of our River Nile water from Ethiopia. Courtesy, we should have invited Ethiopia to contribute to these agreements that we signed with Sudan. Again, construction of the Aswan Dam, we formed a huge lake, and we never really invited Ethiopia again to study the effect of the lake on the River Nile itself. We neglected Ethiopia for some time, while I really think that we could have had a different attitude toward our brothers in Africa, because technology and politics, when they mix, the outcome is very good. In my opinion, that dam, the Millennium Dam that the Ethiopians are building, we could have actually partnered with them. We could have shared, we could have went into partnership with them to construct that dam and share with them.
Is it too late now to solve this?
I don't know.
Right.
Really, I'm addressing my speech to the Foreign Ministry of Affairs, our Foreign Ministry of Affairs, our intelligence, the President, the Prime Minister, who is, his background is irrigation, and he's very familiar with the River Nile. We should have went into partnership, Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, and maybe the rest of the Nile basin countries. We could have actually went into partnership into this dam. The history of this dam is not since a year ago or 2 years ago. In the early or on the mid 50s, when Nasser decided to build this dam, Aswan Dam, Ethiopia went and asked for the US help. And the Office of Water and Irrigation in Nevada performed a study on Ethiopian water resources. And they gave recommendation to construct 34 reservoirs and dams in Ethiopia. Not only 1 or 2 or 4 or 5, 34 reservoirs and dams in Ethiopia itself. Actually, none of these dams were constructed because, you know, as they had political problems in Ethiopia. They went to a communist regime. So none of these dams and reservoirs were ever built. But now, as things are stabilizing, they started to open their old files, and they started to take the old Nevada Bureau of Water Resources seriously, and they're gonna, as a beginner, they're gonna start with the Millennium Dam. Actually, I think we should have a different policy toward our brothers and sisters in the south of our borders, because Sudan itself did not gain much from the Aswan Dam. It did not protect them from high floods. They did not get cheap electricity, nothing. They actually, because of historical reasons and brotherhood, they actually went into agreements with it, and they actually they complimented us. They agreed on a lot of things, and still they actually complimented us in not signing the Entebbe agreement, while really they suffer from high floods. And the Millennium Dam will protect Sudan from the high floods.
So they should be supporting Ethiopia, not Egypt.
Yes, exactly. And this tells you how decent and very sincere the Sudanese are toward us. They're going to get cheap electricity to help them develop their country, and it will protect them from the floods. Not only that, Sudan spends about $11 million every year to clear their waterways from sedimentation. The new lake that will be formed behind the Millennium Dam will